Another day to look forward to at Saratoga. Thank goodness the weather's cooperating because, again, some good races coming up, and a lot of them are on the grass. Competitive yesterday reminds me why I don't love betting turf marathons. It's just not in my wheelhouse, and that's another little thing I guess to think about is I had a little discussion with somebody yesterday about just focusing on what you're good at, figuring out what that is. For some people, it's dirt sprints. Some people love the turf routes. Some people like claimers. Some are allowance stakes horses. So you can be good at a lot of different things, but I think everybody has one or two things that they really excel at. So it's figuring out what that is. I've always been good betting claimers for some reason, probably because I raced a lot of claimers myself. I kind of get the mindset of working with them and how people place them and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, I got a couple of races that I wanted to focus on here today. And one's, I think, kind of a nice horse. Yeah, here we go. 1 3/16 on the grass. Why don't we just get into that? For maiden allowance too, right? That's fun. It's the third at Saratoga today. There's an interesting horse out of here, though, and this one made the watch list. I was watching Ellis Park. I was playing Ellis Park this day, and this Chad Brown horse comes along, son of Flatter, decent purchase, $260,000. And this race was huge. I mean, he was absolutely, like when it says flying late, and they're literally not kidding, he was amazing. I'm gonna just get to where he was actually doing some running here. He's the 5 horse, so we find him he's the problem. I have a couple of problems with this. He's going to be overbet today. I mean, there's no doubt about it, because if you watch how he moves here, everybody saw how this horse moved. But there's a couple of things. I know Chad's got a lot of horses and he's got to start them somewhere, but the fact that this one was put at Ellis, where you're running for a lot less money than you would at, like Saratoga or somewhere else. This is him zooming on the outside, obviously. I mean, he did everything but win here. This horse just had the breakaway. He wasn't going to catch him. I mean, he's professional. He did everything right. But I do have a couple question marks about him. And at the price he's going to be, maybe those are healthy question marks. Long series of work since then. Chad won 5 races yesterday. Entered 5, won 5. Or won 5. So, I mean, sometimes you just got to jump on the train. So that's probably a horse a lot of people will focus in on. I kind of like the Sharp horse as well, the 8 horse Winworthy, coming off a 2nd place finish. He's had a few chances now, which, the more they get out there and start running, the more they're exposing themselves as to maybe not being that good. That's why a horse like Orchestration becomes very appealing, because he's just had the 1 start. All right, move on to race number 7, another grass race. This one, not a marathon, 1:16 for this one. There's a watch list horse here. So there's a couple horses I'm focusing in on. It's a 35 non-3. The maker horses, have they quieted down a bit, or, am I just seeing things? I don't think I've seen a whole lot of them. Well, I mean, if you weren't Chad Brown yesterday, you weren't winning anything. So the 2 horse Moliere is going to be on my ticket. I like this horse getting onto grass. I think that could be okay. Son of Curlin, the dam, comedy. She's a theatrical. She was kind of grassy herself a little bit, although she didn't win on that surface. But she certainly looks like, it's funny because the rest of the family, this horse is nice, obviously, right? I mean, she was able to win some graded stakes races. Theater Star, she was daughter of Warfront. She was turfy. Anyways, there's enough turf in this pedigree that I'm interested in this one getting over to the grass for the first time. I'm surprised it's taken him this long to try it. That's my only concern with that horse, because you start to wonder, did they just absolutely think this horse had no shot on the grass? The 8 horse Current, another consideration. Joel Rosario riding this one. Came up to my neighborhood here, Woodbine. Finished well in this race, stakes race. It was kind of tough. Some of these races back here are decent enough. Some of the figures are solid. Just the one try at Saratoga, and it actually wasn't bad. I mean, he was wide throughout that race. That was a long time ago, but here's a horse that was in the United Nations not all that long ago. He's only won 2 races, and he hasn't won in a long time. So for me, he's kind of one of those vertical kind of horses. I'm not sure I would exactly plunk him onto my ticket for the pick 5. The 12 Reckless Spirit is the watch list horse, mostly because I like this race that he's coming out of. There was some quality here. The last Zip returned to win again. There's some horses that competed well. He hasn't run since then. All these others have run. This one finishing, Kid Mercury was second. Dante's Fire, who he's facing again today, finished second in his next start. So I thought it was an okay little race, and some decent close on the end of it too for him. 29.71 the final fraction. That was pretty good. Dante's Fire actually had a 29.38, so he was a little bit quicker. Dante's Fire next race, I don't know that I might put him in too, now that I'm kind of discussing it amongst myself, the one Dante's Fire, because again, it is a maker horse. I mentioned maybe they're getting a little bit, I don't know, they're not winning. Maybe they're running out of their conditions. But he did come back on a sloppy track and ran okay, so he's a consideration too. One more race I'll look at, and it's race number 8, 7 furlongs is the distance. I'm going outside in here in this field of fillies. This is a high-level claimer going 7 furlongs. There's a horse here I think specifically will be really good at the 7 furlongs. She's kind of a specialist already. It's Union Maiden. She's run this trip 3 times. It's kind of, it's one of those weird distances. It's an extended sprint and short of a route. So you need to have sustained speed around the turn. And that's what she seems to have. I like the fact that she tends to quicken going around that turn. It's Chad Brown, so right away we're ahead of the game here. And the race that she had at Saratoga last summer with Luis Saez riding, who returns to ride her again today, was pretty good. Timely Tradition, Papa Chalk in there. She was able to finish a solid 3rd and come back and win her next start. So I like that. Chad, if he's nothing else, he's extremely patient with these horses, running them when they're ready to go. And that's what we saw yesterday. We saw him run a bunch of ready to go horses, and Chad just needed to camp out at the winner's circle yesterday. The 6 Sharp Star will be in my exacta for sure. Horacio de Paz, he does okay with these kind of horses too. This one shortening up. I think the 7 furlongs kind of hits her right where she wants to live. These races were a little bit too far for her, the 9 furlongs. Back to the mile and the 7 furlongs, and she really started to excel, including a win in the Go for One. So she, to me, is live in that race as well. Another good card. There's, I just touch on a few different things here. Most of the races I talk on here is because they kind of illustrate something. In terms of handicapping and just things to think about and hearing what somebody else does when they're going through their selection. So anyways, that's it. Good races ahead. And hopefully the rain, they're saying maybe Saturday, but hopefully it doesn't happen. Have an excellent Thursday, and we will see you tomorrow.